My name is Jake. For 3 years, I've been running a small diner by the highway. It's a simple place, named after the nearby mountains. The place isn't much, just a short, old-style building with a broken neon sign that I keep meaning to fix but never do. Inside, there are shiny chrome counters and red leather seats, the kind of place my dad used to say had personality. It was his diner before it was mine, but he died during my last year of college. Heart attack. One day he was fine, and the next, he was gone. That's life, I guess. I didn't plan on running the diner. I had dreams, nothing too big, just moving to the city, getting a steady job, maybe traveling a little. But when Dad died, I came back to take care of things. Before I knew it, I was wiping down tables, opening at 6 every morning, and closing at 10 every night. The diner was all he left me, and letting it go felt wrong, like losing him all over again. So, here I am. It's not a busy place. Most of the time, it's just me, the sound of the old music box in the corner, and the occasional truck driver or lost traveler. Regular customers are rare, but there are enough people to keep the place running. The coffee's decent, the food's better than you'd expect, and the pie, my dad's recipe, is nearly perfect. People say it's worth the drive, but they never come back a second time. That's fine by me. I live in the apartment upstairs. It's small but comfortable, one room with a tiny kitchen and a bed that sags in the middle. Most nights, after I lock up, I go upstairs, make myself a sandwich, and fall asleep watching old movies. It's a quiet life, maybe a little lonely, but it works for me. I like the quiet. It gives me time to think. The diner has a secret, though, and it's the kind of secret that could ruin everything if it got out. I don't know how it started or who first found out about it, but it's real. I've seen it happen too many times to doubt it. If you order a coffee, just a plain black coffee, no sugar, no cream, and you follow the rules, you can talk to someone who's gone. Someone you've lost. They'll sit across from you in the booth, looking just like you remember, and you can talk to them until the coffee gets cold. The rules are simple but strict. 1. You have to drink the coffee before it gets cold. No exceptions. If you don't, they leave, and you can't get them back. 2. You can't touch them. I don't know why, but it's part of the deal. 3. You can only do it once. No repeats. 1 coffee, 1 conversation. I didn't make the rules. I don't even know how they work. All I know is that they do. My dad told me about it before he died, said it had been part of the diner for as long as he could remember. He never used it, though, and neither have I. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when a new guy walked in. I was behind the counter when the door opened and he stepped inside. He was tall and thin, with dark circles under his eyes and nervous energy that made him look like he hadn't slept in days. "Coffee," he said, sliding onto a stool. "Black." I poured from the pot and set it in front of him. He looked up at me, his eyes sharp and searching. "This is the place, right?" he asked. I stopped moving. "What place?" "You know," he said. "The place where you can talk to someone. Most people don't come in knowing about the coffee. But this guy, he knew." "Who told you that?" I asked. "A friend," he said. "Is it true?" I glanced around the empty diner. "If you're asking, you already know the answer." He picked up the mug, his hand shaking so badly that some coffee spilled over the edge. He took a sip, then set it down. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the air in the diner seemed to change. And then she was there. She appeared in the booth across from him, looking as solid and real as if she'd walked in off the street. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with long blonde hair and a soft smile. "Hi, Marcus," she said, her voice soft and warm. "Lisa," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Is it really you?" I turned away, giving them privacy. It wasn't my business what they talked about. I kept busy while they spoke in quiet voices. When the coffee was almost gone, Marcus's voice became desperate, like he was trying to fit a lifetime of words into a few final minutes. When it was over, Marcus sat there for a long time, staring at the empty seat across from him. Finally, he turned to me, his eyes red. "Thank you," he said. Later that afternoon, a young woman stepped inside. She couldn't have been older than 19 or 20. She glanced around before settling on me behind the counter. "Hi," she said uncertainly. "Are you Jake?" "That's me," I said. "What can I get you?" She hesitated. I heard you can do something here." "Something special." "Depends on what you mean by special." Her cheeks turned red. I want to talk to my grandmother. Just for a little bit. Is that okay?" I studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah, that's okay. You know the rules." She shook her head, so I explained them. She picked up the coffee carefully and carried it to a booth by the window. After she took the first sip, it didn't take long. A woman appeared across from her, her hair silver and her face lined with wrinkles. She looked kind, with a warm smile. "I don't know what to do, Grandma," the young woman said, her voice shaking. "I got into 2 schools. One's close to home, but the other is in California. I don't know which one to pick." The older woman reached out like she wanted to take her hand but stopped just short. "Follow your heart, honey. Do what feels right. But don't be afraid to take a chance. Sometimes the best things come when you step outside what's comfortable." When the coffee was almost gone, the young woman's voice grew hurried. "I miss you so much," she said, tears in her eyes. "I know, sweetheart," the older woman said. "But I'm always with you. You'll be okay." And then she was gone. The young woman thanked me and left, her face still damp but grateful. The next customer came in about an hour later. He was older, maybe in his late 40s, with a face that looked like it had seen hard times. He walked with a limp and seemed like someone who didn't take no for an answer. "Coffee," he said. "Black." I poured him a cup. He looked at me. "You do that thing here, right? The conversation thing." I nodded. "Yeah. You know the rules." "I know the rules," he said tightly. He leaned closer. "I want to talk to someone." "Who?" "An accountant," he said bitterly. "He stole from me. Took everything." Most people came here to reconnect, to say things they never got the chance to say. Not this guy. But it wasn't my place to judge. He took a long sip and set the mug down. A moment later, a man appeared in the corner booth. He was dressed in a cheap suit with thin glasses. He looked startled at first, then his expression hardened when he saw Derek. "Derek," the accountant said. "You," Derek spat. "You ruined me. You stole everything I had." "I did my job," the accountant said coldly. "You were the one who didn't read the fine print." "Don't give me that," Derek snapped. "I trusted you. I won the lottery, and you bled me dry." Their voices got louder and angrier. Derek's hands shook, and I thought he might jump across the table. Instead, he grabbed the mug and threw it to the floor. It broke on impact, coffee splashing everywhere. The accountant disappeared instantly. Derek stood there for a moment, breathing heavily, then stormed out without another word. I cleaned up the mess, making a mental note that breaking the cup ended the service just as well as letting the coffee get cold. The rain was heavy that night when the bell over the door rang again. A man stepped inside, shaking rain off his coat. He was broad-shouldered, with sharp features but tired eyes. "You Jake?" he asked. "That's me," I said. "What can I do for you?" The man looked around the empty diner, then walked up to the counter and pulled out a badge. "Detective Barnes," he said. "I've heard some things about this place." "What kind of things?" He shifted uncomfortably. "That you have a service. Something to do with coffee. And the dead." I studied him. He didn't look like the type to believe in rumors, but there he was, desperation in every line of his face. "You know the rules?" I asked. "I've heard them," he said. "Who do you want to talk to?" He hesitated. "A man named Thomas Cross." The name sent a chill down my spine. Thomas Cross, the serial killer who'd terrorized the region years ago. He was dead now, killed in a prison riot. "Why him?" I asked quietly. Barnes ran a hand through his wet hair. There's another killer out there. Someone worse. We found a body yesterday, cut up in ways I won't describe. But there were details that match Cross's work. If this is a copycat, they're taking it to a whole new level. I need answers, Jake. Everything about this felt wrong, but it wasn't my place to say no. I poured him a cup of coffee and watched as he carried it to a corner booth. He took a sip, and the diner went still. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the air seemed to grow colder, and a figure appeared across from him. Thomas Cross was exactly as I'd imagined from old photos, tall, thin, with sunken eyes. But there was something wrong about him. His presence filled the diner like a storm cloud. "Detective Barnes," Cross said, his voice smooth and mocking. "What an unexpected pleasure." "I need information," Barnes said. "There's a killer out there copying your work. I need to know who it could be." Cross leaned back, smiling. "Oh, I'm flattered. But why would I help you?" "Because if you don't, more people will die," Barnes said. Cross's smile widened. "You're wrong about that. I don't mind a little competition. Keeps things interesting. This isn't a game, Cross. Just tell me what you know." Cross's expression darkened. "You don't get it, do you? Whoever this is, they're not copying me. They're better than me. And frankly, I think that's beautiful." Barnes slammed his hand on the table. "People are dying. Don't you care at all?" Cross laughed, cold and hollow. "Care? Oh, detective, you really don't understand me at all." The moment Cross said that, things went wrong. Plates began to shake on the shelves, and the lights flickered. I watched plates fly off the cabinet and smash against the window. Cross stood up, his presence more frightening now. "Oh, detective," he said. "You thought you could control this. You thought I'd play by your rules." Before either of us could react, he turned and looked behind me. I followed his gaze and froze. Beth, the waitress who sometimes worked evening shifts, was standing by the counter, holding a tray of clean silverware. She looked shocked, staring at Cross. I didn't even know she'd come in through the back door. Cross smiled, and faster than I thought possible, he was next to her. A knife from our kitchen appeared in his hand, and he held it against her neck. Beth gasped, her tray crashing to the floor. "Not another step," Cross said calmly. "Oh, don't worry, Jake. I'm not going to kill her. Not yet. I just want to see what happens when I break all your little rules." "What the hell is this?" Barnes yelled, pulling out his gun. "He's a ghost. He shouldn't be able to touch her." "Shouldn't, but can," Cross said, pressing the blade closer to Beth's skin. "And isn't that fun?" I grabbed the coffee cup from Barnes' table and threw it to the ground, breaking it into pieces. Cross didn't even flinch. "Nice try," he said mockingly. "But I don't think your little trick works the way you think it does." My mind raced. The rules. Until the coffee gets cold. The coffee. My eyes went to the table. The mug was broken, but the liquid had pooled on the floor. It was still warm, I could see steam rising from it. While Cross's attention was on Barnes, I rushed behind the counter and grabbed a pitcher of water. Without thinking, I ran back to the table and poured the cold water over the coffee on the floor. Cross stiffened immediately, his head snapping toward me. The knife fell from his hand and clattered on the tiles. His form flickered like a bad TV signal. He let out a low, inhuman sound, his face twisting into something worse than human. And then he was gone. The diner was silent again, except for Beth's quiet crying and the rain against the windows. "It's over," I said, dropping the empty pitcher with shaking hands. "It's over." Barnes put away his gun. "You knew that would work." "I didn't know," I admitted. "But the rules said, until the coffee gets cold. I figured cold water would do the trick." I turned to Beth. "Are you okay?" She nodded weakly. I think so." "Go home," I said softly. "Get some rest." She nodded and hurried out the back door into the rain. Barnes stayed a moment longer. "I'm sorry," he said finally. I didn't know it would get out of control like that. It's not your fault, I said. He ran a hand through his hair. Thanks for stepping in, Jake. You saved her. Yeah, I said. Just, don't come back for this. Not for this. Barnes didn't reply. He just walked out into the rain, leaving me alone with the broken pieces and spilled water. The days after that passed in a blur. The diner was back to its usual quiet rhythm, but for me, things weren't the same. The memory of Cross's ghost still bothered me. Every time I made coffee, I found myself looking over my shoulder. It was late one night, 3:18 a.m. according to the clock, when it happened. The diner was empty, rain patting softly against the windows. I was trying to keep busy when I decided to make myself a cup of coffee. I didn't think much about it. Just grabbed a mug, poured it black, and set it on the counter while I organized napkins. The smell of coffee filled the air, warm and familiar. Then I heard it. Jakey. I froze. The voice was low and soft, coming from behind me. Only one man was ever allowed to call me Jakey. My dad. I turned slowly. He was sitting on one of the stools, just like he used to when we worked together. He looked exactly as I remembered, broad shoulders, slightly gray hair, and that easy smile. His favorite flannel shirt was tucked into his jeans, and his hands rested on the counter. Hey, kiddo, he said, his voice warm and familiar. I stared at him. Dad. Yeah, he said, his smile softening. It's me. I didn't know what to say. Finally, I managed, I didn't mean to call you. I know, he said, nodding toward the coffee. Guess it just worked out that way. I sat on the stool across from him, my hands shaking slightly. How are you here? He chuckled. Same way all those other folks show up, I suppose. You made the coffee. And, well, I figured it was about time we had a talk. About what? I asked. About you, he said simply. And this place. We sat in silence for a moment, the rain tapping softly against the windows. Finally, he spoke again. You've been doing a good job, Jakey. Better than I ever hoped for. Keeping the place running, looking after it like it mattered. I'm proud of you. I felt a lump in my throat and looked down at my hands. I didn't want to let you down. You haven't, he said. Not once. But, Jake, it's time to let it go. I looked up at him, startled. What? This diner, he said, gesturing around the room. It's a part of me, sure. A part of us. But it's not all there is. Not for you. I shook my head. I don't know how to let it go, Dad. It's all I've had since you left. He reached out like he wanted to touch my hand but stopped just short. I know, son. But this isn't your dream. It never was. You stayed because you thought you had to. Because you're a good son. But you've been holding on to this place, and to me, for too long. Tears came to my eyes. I don't even know what I want anymore. I haven't thought about it in so long. Yes, you do, he said steadily. You've always wanted more than this. You wanted to move to the city, chase your dreams. You wanted to live your life. And you still can. This place doesn't have to hold you back. But what about, I started, but he cut me off gently. I'll always be with you, Jakey. No matter where you go or what you do. You don't need this diner to remember me. You've already got me here. He touched his chest, right over his heart. I looked away, my vision blurring. I don't know how to say goodbye. You don't have to, he said. You're not saying goodbye to me. Just to this place. It's okay to move on, Jake. You've done your part. We talked for a while after that, about little things and big things, about memories of him teaching me to cook and times we stayed up late fixing the leaky roof. His voice was steady, calm, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe again. The coffee was getting cold, and I knew our time was running out. He seemed to know it too, his smile turning bittersweet. Jakey, he said, his voice softer now. Promise me you'll think about what I said. Promise me you'll take that step. I nodded, my voice cracking. I promise. Good, he said, his smile widening. That's my boy. And then he was gone. The stool was empty, and the only thing left was the faint smell of coffee and the sound of rain outside. I sat there for a long time, staring at the mug in front of me. The coffee was cold now, untouched, but the warmth in my chest remained. My dad was right, it was time to let go. Time to move on. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in years, I felt ready to find out.